Hey, Tommy the Butcher for Wise Guys Barbecue coming at you with a new exciting video. You know, it's October, and October means one thing to me, pumpkins. We're taking the ordinary pumpkin and we're doing something special with it. We're going Wise Guy style, and we're doing a smoked pumpkin ravioli for you in a brown butter sage sauce. Please like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss an episode. Stay with us. I'm gonna show you how you can do this at home so you can have it on your dinner plate before Halloween. All right, we're gonna get started with our pasta dough for our ravioli. Now you're gonna find this dough it's a very malleable dough, and by that I mean it's gonna be very easy to work with. It's gonna be very easy to roll out, because when you're making doughs, especially pasta doughs sometimes, you know, if you don't have the right gluten formation and you don't have the proper technique down, you're gonna find that it's pretty difficult to get a dough rolled out where it's gonna all pull back together again. But this recipe, you're gonna find it's very easy dough to work with. Now, another thing, I'm gonna be putting it together in a food processor, and that's gonna allow for a very quick time frame for this dough to come together. It's not something you gotta put out and mix by hand, or, you know, struggle with, you know, how they do the outline of the dough, and they put the eggs in the middle and a lot of that. I mean, that's great. Those techniques are great. I do love them. But as far as making this a user-friendly dough, we're gonna be using a food processor. So I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Next, I've got 2 whole large eggs. Now, make sure you're using large eggs. Don't use medium, extra large, jumbo, because that's going to kind of mess up the ingredient in this pasta dough. It's going to either be too wet or too dry, so use large eggs, very important. Then I have just 6 egg yolks. And finally, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. All right, I have this all in a food processor. Now we're gonna pulse this for about 45 seconds. It'll take about 45 seconds to get all this dough together. And you're gonna see what we're looking for is kind of like a very loose, wet sand, like a dry, wet sand, if that makes sense. And it should be relatively loose, but when you pick up a little pinch, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take a little pinch between my fingers, and if it all sticks together, that's the type of consistency that we're looking for. So I'm gonna give this a few pulses. We're gonna let it go for about 45 seconds. If you see it start to clump up like that, just go in with a spatula, kind of just knock it down a little bit. Now, another thing, if you're doing this and you're finding that it might be, now in this case, it seems like a little bit too wet for my likings. So we're gonna make minor adjustments. I'm just gonna sprinkle maybe a little bit of flour in there just to get it loosened up a little bit. All right, that's beginning to look good. What you don't want to see the dough all bunch up in a ball. You want it to be loose in there, because then we're gonna be working it out. So it's important to kind of look at what's happening and make minor adjustments as you're going along. All right, that's looking good so far. So I'm gonna turn this out onto a floured work surface. Just lightly flour it, because we're gonna be rolling this out. Actually, we're gonna be kneading it at this point. We'll be rolling it out a little bit later when we're actually building our raviolis. Okay, I gotta turn this dough out onto a floured work surface. Now, as you can see how it's like a little bit crumbly? You can see some crumbles. That's exactly what we're looking for. That's the consistency we want. And as we do the kneading in a minute, it'll all begin to come together. All right, yeah, you'll actually be working on this for about 10 minutes. Stay with it. Eventually, it'll all come together, and you'll see a nice, kind of like a clean, shiny, soft dough. All this excess flour will begin to work into it. And it's actually like a little workout at the same time. You get a little exercise doing this. All right, our dough is looking good. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna roll it into, we want about a 6-inch cylinder. So kind of just roll this out a little bit until we reach that point. All right, that's looking good. So what we want to do now is we want to wrap this in plastic. Make sure you wrap it in plastic because it'll dry out. We want to let it rest at least 1 hour, up to about 4 hours total, but I'm actually going to do a 2-hour rest. I've done it with a 2-hour rest and it's perfectly fine, but go at least an hour. That's it. We're going to put this dough in a cool, dry place, and in the meantime, we're going to get started on a pumpkin. Don't go anywhere. So this is it's referred to as either a pie or a sugar pumpkin. I'm going to get this cut in half. I'm going to remove the stem first of all. Now, first thing we need to do is we're going to cut this in half because we need to get all those seeds out of the middle. Now, I'm just going to take a spoon and kind of scrape this out. All right, I got the seeds out. I'm going to try to get in here and there's a lot of little fibrous material in here. Try to get all that out as much as you can. You don't have to go crazy with it. Just get the majority of it. All right, there's one. And I'll get this other one going. All right. I'm gonna end up cutting each half in half so that we're gonna have quarters. But before we do that, now's the time. We're gonna do a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper. So now would be the easiest time to do that process. Just get some extra virgin olive oil. Get it in there liberally. You don't have to be too fussy about it. Then I'm gonna season it with a little bit of kosher salt and black pepper. Okay, we're looking good. So I'm gonna cut each half in half, like I said. Then I have a baking sheet pan here. I have some parchment paper on it and a rack on top of that. Because we're gonna go directly into the smoker with these pumpkin quarters. We're gonna be smoking them at 350 degrees for until they get brown and soft. That's gonna be anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes in that time. You don't have a smoker? The oven works perfectly fine. Just preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Let them go for a half an hour to 60 minutes. Keep an eye on them and remove them once you see that they're starting to get brown and they're soft, so we can scoop out that meat with a spoon. So don't go anywhere. We'll be over at the smoker in 2 seconds. All right, we're over here. Olivia's purring away as usual. Like I said, we're gonna do these at 350. It's like 344 right now, but that heat will stabilize after a little while. I'm gonna get these right up here on the top shelf. Very simple. Shut the door, we'll let it go for half an hour and we'll be back to check on them. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're gonna check out our pumpkins right now. They have in fact been on for 90 minutes, an hour and a half. Now I know at the outset I said 30 to 60 minutes. I was estimating, but they were in fact on for 90 minutes, a full hour and a half. So just keep that in mind. But we're gonna take a look at them. They're looking great. You're gonna see a lot of color now. And you're gonna take a fork and just poke them to make sure that they're fork tender. There's some give to these, they're nice and soft. We're gonna get these off right now, and we're gonna be getting them over to the butcher block in about 5 minutes from now. We're gonna scoop all the meat out, and we're gonna proceed to make our pumpkin filling for our ravioli. So, stay tuned, don't go anywhere. All right, we're over here at the butcher block now. Our pumpkin has cooled down. We're gonna get all this meat pulled out of these shells, and we're gonna be building our ravioli stuffing. So as you're doing this, you're gonna find initially that the meat will be quite fibrous, but that's quite okay. Once we start working it with a fork as we're mixing in all our ingredients, it'll start to break down and get to more of a puree, more of a smoother texture. This is basically just falling out of the shell. It's so tender right now. Well, just watch out you're not getting any of those shell pieces in there. All right, we got our pumpkin meat all removed from the shell. I'm just gonna work this with a fork, break it down a little bit further. We'll get some of that fibrous material broken down to get this to a nice smooth filling. Now we wanna season at this point. Gotta go in with a little kosher salt and a little black pepper. You want to really go at this rather aggressively to get all this broken down to a smoother texture. And then we'll be adding a few more ingredients and that'll further smooth this out quite a bit. So next, I'm gonna go in with about a 1/4 cup of fresh ricotta cheese and 1 cup of freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. Can never go enough cheese. Gonna get this worked in a little bit. Starting to come together now that we're getting more moisture in here and it's really softening up. All right, we've got the secret ingredient. We got our salt, we got our pepper, we have our grated Parmigiano Reggiano, we got our fresh ricotta cheese. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of nutmeg. And I'm basically just using a fresh nut of nutmeg and I'm just gonna microplane it on. About a 1/4 teaspoon. You don't need a lot of this because it's pretty strong. And we just want that nutmeg flavor in the background. We don't want it to take over. Well, that's it. All right, this is looking pretty good. Just want to give it a taste, make sure all our seasonings are right. Spot on, I won't have to do another thing with this. So we're gonna put this aside, let it rest, and then we're gonna continue on with our ravioli dough pastry, and we're gonna be rolling it all out and building our ravioli, so stay tuned. All right, it's time to get our ravioli, our pasta ravioli dough all rolled out to get these things made. So this has been resting for a little over 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. Lightly flour your surface. So what we're gonna do with this, we're gonna cut it into 6 equal pieces. And we're gonna be working and rolling out 1 piece at a time. So I'm basically gonna I'm gonna score where I'm gonna go with this. 1 in the middle, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So I'm gonna go right in half with it. There we go, 3 pieces. And we'll do this one. All right, so we're gonna work with 1 at a time, like I said. However, these we're gonna have to wrap in plastic while they're waiting on the side. Always keep your dough wrapped in plastic, it'll only dry out. You could also put it on a work surface and just cover it with like a kitchen cloth, kitchen rag. So there's that, I'm gonna cover these up, and we're just gonna keep them off to the side. Now, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna press this out by hand into about a 3 by 3 inch square. You can literally just use your hands doing this, no big deal. All right, a little more flour. Now I'm gonna roll this out till it gets to be about twice the size, like a 6 inch by 6 inch. So when you're rolling this out, take your rolling pin, start at the middle and go away from you. Then return back to the middle and come towards you. That's the best way to roll all this out evenly. Now I'm gonna flip it to this side and do the same thing coming this way. Till I get about a 6 inch by 6 inch square. All right, that's looking good. Once you get it to your 6 inches wide, now we're gonna begin to roll it out till we get about a 20-inch sheet. That's what we're looking for. And I'm gonna flip my work surface around to get a lot more length on this, maybe another 12 inches. So, keeping with that center forward first, then come back and come towards you. Start again at the center, work away from you. Back to the center, 20 inches. I was gonna measure it, but I'm not. It looks 20 inches to me. Now, we're looking for 20 inches by 6 inches. This is looking maybe a little bit narrow, so I'm gonna roll out this way just so I can get it to my 6 inches I'm looking for. All right, here's your finished ravioli dough. And what we're gonna do, because I'm gonna have 6 of these, I have a sheet pan with parchment paper. I'm gonna hold them off on this. All right, and then I'm gonna continue to do each piece of dough the exact same way. Then we'll have 6 sheets of ravioli dough ready to go. And at that point, we'll begin to fill these, cut them, and form the final ravioli. So, all right, we're busy here building these things. So we have all our pasta ravioli sheets done. Our stuffing's ready to go. The next thing to do is get all these things stuffed and cut, rolled, built. So I've got 1 sheet of pasta dough here. We're gonna square off the dough first of all, and then about 1 inch from the edge facing you, we're gonna get a little egg white wash on it. This will help so when we fold them over, they'll stick much better. Just egg whites, not whole eggs, not an egg wash, but just the whites. All right, that's good. Now we're gonna place our filling 1 inch apart, and we're gonna go 1 inch from the edge that's facing you. So this is a little bit of a shorter sheet of dough, so we probably will only get 4 out of this one. You know what? I'm only gonna go 3 with this. Okay, just to recap, you're filling 1.5 inches apart. Start your filling 1 inch from the edge facing you. Then we're gonna cut the dough in the middle so that we have individual strips. Then you wanna turn each one away from you because we're gonna be folding over. We wanna land on the side with the egg white. All right. Get it over, then begin to press down. Get rid of all the trapped air pockets. All right, one other note, when you're folding these over, it's very important to remove as much air as possible. So you really want to squeeze and try to get that air out before you make your final seal. Because what's going to happen is if you have too much air on that, that's what's going to happen is when you're boiling these off, the raviolis are probably going to like pop or split, and you'll get all the filling oozed out all in your water. So it's very important to get as much of that air out of there as possible. So these are all set. I'm going to cut these off. With a fluted pastry wheel. All right, I have another baking sheet lined with parchment paper, and we're gonna just place our raviolis right on top of that and let them just kind of hang out, sit a little while until we're ready to cook these off. So I'm gonna do another one right now. Once again, a sheet of plastic so these don't dry out. Now, if you get all these made ahead of time, and it's gonna be, a while before you're actually gonna cook them, do this, get them all on your sheet pan, wrap them with plastic, and keep them in the fridge. Don't leave them out at room temperature because they will soften up a little bit. So keep them refrigerated until you're ready to do the actual cook. All right, we're ready for the next step with pumpkin ravioli. We're gonna be doing it in the brown butter sage sauce. So very simple. I got 1 stick of salted butter, whole butter, and we're just gonna melt that down. And once it's melted down, just let it go, very low heat for a little while, and you'll begin to cook those milk solids that are in the butter, and they'll begin to brown somewhat. But keep an eye on that. Don't let it go too fast, too long, because you'll only burn it. So, like I said, once it's all melted, just stay with it and keep an eye on it until eventually it'll get to that brown stage. And then at that point, we're gonna remove it from the heat, and then we're gonna add some fresh sage leaves to the butter. All right, it's been about 3 minutes, and our butter is beginning to get brown. Immediately, get it off the heat. Turn the heat off, because you don't want that to cook any further. It'll only burn. We're gonna go in, I've got about, let me see, I don't know, 6 fresh sage leaves in that go, and I'm gonna let these steep in the brown butter off the heat. So I'm gonna put that off to the side. Then we're gonna continue on, get our water going for our raviolis. So Moving on to the next step, I got about 6 quarts of water, salted water, just a hair under a boil, and we're gonna go in with our raviolis. Now, these are gonna be cooked at more of a simmer, a very low rolling boil. You don't wanna get these in there with a full tilt rapid boil, because there's a chance that they're gonna break and burst. So once you see that water just about coming to a full boil, that's when you wanna go in with your raviolis. What that'll do, that'll temper the water a little bit and keep that full rolling boil from occurring. And if you see that water returning to a full boil, just lower the heat. Now these are gonna be in for about 3 to 5 minutes. They don't take very long at all. It's fresh, and they'll cook pretty quickly. Give these a little stir before you get a little too much in there. You don't want them to stick. All right, you want to be very gentle with these. It's fresh pasta, freshly made. Like I said, we're gonna let these go for about 3 to 5 minutes till they all begin to float. Once you see them all floating at the surface, that's a good sign, a good indication that these are ready. And they're all beginning to pop up to the surface. It's been about, what, a minute and a half, just under 2 minutes. So these are well on their way, and in about another minute or two, they'll be done. I'm gonna get them out of the water into our brown butter sage sauce. Now, when you're doing this, you don't have to strain these out. Just take a slotted spoon or something like a basket spoon, anything like that. That'll be your best tool. And you don't have to really worry about getting a lot of this pasta cooking water, because you really want that into your sauce. It'll really develop it much better. So I can already hear that sizzle a little bit the minute I put it in there. And we're just gonna put these in the brown butter sage sauce and let them swim around in there and get all happy. And then at that point, we'll just put them off to the side, and we'll get ready to plate these delicious looking ravioli. I can already smell that sage and the butter, the Parmesan cheese. This is gonna be really, really good. Okay, at this point, you really don't need to cook these long. You just want them to absorb some of that brown butter and get all married in the pan together. It'll all be one. These are looking great at this point. One last final finishing touch before you pull them out. And we're gonna go in with a little fresh grated Parmigiano Reggiano, just to round it out, finish it off. That's the finished dish. Now, stay tuned, we'll be right back. We're gonna get this all plated up, so stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, we're good to go. We're gonna get this plated up right now. And I think I'll go, what do you think I should go for a serving? 4, 5? Nah, I'm gonna go 6. So I'm gonna get 6 ravioli on this plate. Grab this one. All right, next we're gonna drizzle in a little bit of that delicious brown butter sage sauce. Just drizzle it right around. Next, we're gonna go in with a little bit of fresh cracked black pepper, a little more of the fresh grated Parmesan cheese. And finally, we're gonna go on with a few sprigs of fresh sage. And there you have it, folks. Wise Guys smoked pumpkin ravioli. All right, folks, we got this final dish all plated up, and I've been working at this for a while. It was a steppy process, but well worth it. I can tell you, I can smell the butter, the sage, the Parmesan cheese. It looks rich, it looks gooey. It's gonna be absolutely delicious. I cannot wait to dig into this. I'm going for it. This looks absolutely fantastic. I think I'll go for this front one. Now I wanna show you, can you get that? You can see the filling. I'm gonna cut one piece for you and show you the filling. And I'm gonna go in for another for the flavor. So here goes. Wow. That's all I can say, you know. You might think and look at this and think it's kind of rather ordinary. It's not showing a lot of color. I think it looks fantastic. But let me tell you, that pumpkin filling, absolutely delicious. And that little bit of nutmeg just brings a whole nother dimension to it. I can get the nutmeg in the background. This brown butter sage sauce, I mean, I could take a bath in it. It's that good. So I'm telling you, folks, Give this a try. If you don't have the smoker, do it in your oven, no big deal, to roast this pumpkin off. And you can put this together as well for yourself and your family. So I hope you like what we did for you today. Please like, share, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you will not miss an episode. This is Tommy the Butcher. Thank you for watching. Can't wait to see you next time.